Right, let's bring you this story now. Joburg residents are keeping a close eye on developments at Pikitup and whether garbage will be collected at all, and we continue, and whether, of course, the plans will continue all the way into or through the festive season. Our senior managers at the entity have resigned, and for more on what this means for the service, we're joined by the City of Johannesburg's MMC for Environment and Infrastructure Development. That's Nico de Jager. Nico, thank you very much for your time. I want to start here. This service has been limping for some time. Now you have these high-profile resignations. Does that mean that we are going to see a continuation of a limping service?
I think let us just be very clear on when you refer to a limping service, what it means. We had two critical incidents over the past 2 months, or 3 months rather, where there were people who felt that they should be insourced, they should be employed by Pikitup, but it wasn't necessarily Pikitup workers, or it wasn't Pikitup workers at all, our environmentalists, who had embarked on an illegal strike or on a strike at all. These were outside forces, nothing to do with the entity. When it comes to the resignation of 3 high-profile individuals, it becomes a little bit more problematic. However, I also want to be very clear. Sometimes people move on. In the case of the chairperson of the board, Mr. Shongwe, Mr. Shongwe is a non-executive director. He, as such, is not a permanent employee. He took employment with a company, a developing company, who is doing business with the government, and as such, he is required then to resign. He may not be a non-executive director while also doing business with government. The issue of Mr. Lamini is a little bit of a bummer for us. It's
That's
a difficult managing director. Mr. Lamini played a critical role in the insourcing of former Pikitup workers, where we saw 1,541 workers being insourced, permanently employed. Previously, people who worked on for 80 odd rand a day, now having permanent employment. But Mr. Dlamini also felt that it was time for him to go back to the private sector. You know, he's been in public service for 13 years. I had personally had the opportunity to be there when he was employed, to sign off on his employment contract, and we had a very good relationship. It's indeed a loss to us. The COO position, Christa Venter, that came as a bit of a surprise to us, but Christa's also indicated to me that she wants to slow down. She's taken a position with a smaller municipality in the Eastern Cape, where she'll be doing the same thing, implementing stuff that she's been implementing for us in Johannesburg, and then she's going to retire.
Mr. de Jager, here's a concern. In that statement that you've issued over these resignations, you also make mention there that Pikitup will use the services of EPWP workers, expanded public works workers, over the festive season to keep the city clean. Why is that happening, and should residents be concerned?
No, it shouldn't be concerned. That is what we do every year over the Christmas season, when most of our employees, many of our employees, in fact, come from outside of Johannesburg. And they then, during the Christmas season, want to go back to their families. In fact, I saw some of the leaders of the unions yesterday at a board meeting, and they were very happy to go back to the Eastern Cape, in this case, where they come from. And every year we make use of temporary workers to fulfill the shortfalls. But over and above the shortfalls, we've also, under the leadership, I might add, of the current MD and COO, made provision for additional staff, over and above, for additional staff to up the cleanliness levels of the city. Because we are fully aware of the fact that over the past couple of months, we've had some challenges around the cleanliness levels of the city.
Replacements of these high-profile individuals?
Well, that's a process that's going to be followed. I met with the board yesterday. We had a board meeting, and in that meeting, it was also the go-ahead was given that we would start with the recruitment of the managing director.
The ANC, which sits in the opposition benches in the city, is making mention here of areas like Alexandra. They're saying portions covered by Southdale have not had waste removed in recent weeks, and we know that the Pikitup service has been intermittent, I think is the word.
Intermittent is the word. But if any councillor have not had waste removed in his or her ward, then that councillor should take responsibility. And I can tell you that's not quite true to say that that there might have been intermittent, there might have been problems with collecting waste for various reasons, but it's definitely not that it's not been happening. And I might also add, the day I received the resignation for Mr. Dlamini, I informed all the opposition parties of his resignation. That was on the 30th of November. So I thought it was a little bit opportunistic to come up with a statement simply because the COO also resigned, and knowing that there is nothing sinister about the resignation. And I must tell you, we will be negotiating, or we will not negotiating, but discussing with Ms. Venter to try and stay on for a little bit longer to help us with the handover period, and hopefully that will be a positive news in the end for the residents of the city.